little one. Hi. Come. Don't be afraid. No. Today we are going to have a good time with chess. Yes. And we have two friends to help us understand and make it safe and nice and easy for us. So say hello to Dave the dog and Kitiara the cat. You see, Dave the dog loves stories, isn't that right? Yup. And Dave the dog always wants to know the story about chess. Who is playing? Why are they playing? What are they playing for? And Kitiara, she always wants to know about the moves. Why did they play this move? Why didn't they play that move? And today I'm going to show you a magic performance on the chessboard here. And you don't have to do anything at all. You can just relax while I explain everything to Dave the dog and Kitiara the cat. And we are just going to relax and have a good time. So first, Dave, I will tell you a little bit about the game that we are going to take a look at. Because this game is magic. It was played a long time ago. And with the white pieces here, there was a magician playing. That's right. A real chess magician. His name was Mikhail Tal. And he was the world chess champion. And they called him a magician on the chessboard because what he could do, nobody could really understand. So we are just going to admire the beauty of this game. But who was he playing? Dave always wants to know the full story. Who was the world champion playing against with the black pieces? Well, this is interesting. The world champion had traveled to England to go to a chess club. And he was not going to play somebody from the chess club. No. He was going to play everyone from the chess club. So they set up 30 boards just like this one in a big horseshoe around the room. And he would go, Mikhail Tal would go from board to board and make a move on each board. And on each board there would be an opponent who would play against him. So he'd play against 30 people at the same time. Isn't that crazy? And in one of the games he was playing against a normal person, a guy named Peter from the club. And he played these moves and they exchanged these moves between them. And it became a beautiful, beautiful game of chess. So that is the story of why this game was played. And now, Kitiara, I know you're really waiting to hear about the moves, because that's what you always wanted to hear about, isn't that right? And when the game was started, Mikhail Tal, with the white pieces, took this pawn in front of the king and pushed it 2 squares out. And I'm going to explain to Kitiara now why he did that. He did that because he wants to control the center. Now, what is the center? The center is these 4 squares here in the middle of the he wants to put a pawn here and a pawn here. And this pawn can attack here, and this pawn can attack here and also here. That would be very, very good to do. Attack all these squares on the opponent side of the board while occupying the center like this. Also, this bishop could come out, and this bishop could come out, and the queen could come out. And Mikhail Tal loved to do that. And even though Peter with the black pieces was not a world champion or not had a fancy title like Grandmaster or something, he understood that it's not a good idea to allow the world champion to get these two pawns out. And that is why Kitiara, that he played this move. He took this pawn in front of the queen's bishop 2 squares out. Why did he do that? Well, that was because this pawn can now come in and capture here if the magician does play this pawn out. So this is to defend this square. And then we already know about why Mikhail Tal, the magician from Riga, played the next move that he did. The next move that he did was that he took the knight out and he placed it right here. Because from this square, this knight is also looking at this square. So that if he can move again, he can put this here and it will be defended by the knight. Peter with the black pieces, he wants to put this knight out right here in response. But I'm going to explain to you, Kitiara, why he didn't do that. And the problem is that this pawn is so good, it controls the center and nobody is stopping this pawn. So if you put the knight out, you could say, wow, I am attacking here, I could come in and capture. But nobody is stopping this pawn from going forward and attacking the knight. The knight would have to move again and it would become a big mess for black. So he would very much like to put the knight out here, but first he put this pawn out here. Can you guess why, Kitiara? Yes, that is right, because this pawn defends this square. So if Tal comes here with the pawn, he could come in and capture it. So now Peter thinks he's ready to put the knight out. But Mikhail Tal, and this is a little story time for Dave the dog again. Mikhail Tal loved to attack. That was the best thing he knew in chess. And the way he attacked was he did the same 3 things every time. He put out both of these pawns when he was ready. He got a safe king, and then he used all of his pieces. Everyone was invited to the party when Tal was playing. All the pieces came to play. And therefore, he thought, okay, I will take this pawn and I will put it out. It's not perfect because the brave Peter with the black player, with the black pieces, could of course come in and capture the pawn. That was why he put this pawn there, remember. But Tal had already prepared this. He had a plan. So he could come in with the knight and recapture. And now he still has 2 pieces here in the center. But can Can you remember Kitiara? Can you remember what Black's plan was? Something about the knight? Yes, exactly. Getting the knight out to this square. It's a good square for the knight because it's attacking this important pawn here in the middle of the board. And also, white cannot just chase this knight away because we're defending, right? So now this pawn is attacked. And Tal wanted to defend the pawn, and he also wanted to get all his pieces in play. Do you remember he wanted a safe king, and he wanted all the pieces in play. So now he took the other knight and put it here, because this knight is defending this pawn. You can see it's looking at this pawn. So if Black comes in and capture it, and he did not do this because, you lose your knight. So Black had to find something else that he could do. And he was thinking about his own king. Because like Dave the dog here, he knew that Tal loved to attack and always going after the king. And he was thinking a little bit about the king in this diagonal here. Towards the king. Maybe a bishop could come here with a check. Not so good. Or maybe a knight could come here with an attack. So he played a move to defend against that, to sort of try to get the magician to hold back a little bit. Played this pawn out here to defend against any of the magician's pieces coming to this square. And I know you always love to hear all the stories, Dave, so maybe you'd like to know that this particular move here has a name. Really, it does. When we have played chess exactly like this, and then Black plays this, it is called the Sicilian knight-off defense. Because a lot of chess openings have names after islands or countries, and it's called the Sicilian knight-off because it was invented by a man who was called, or whose name was Mikhail Tal. Came up with this move. It's a very good move. But Tal, he wanted to attack, and he wanted to use all of his pieces. So now he took the bishop out, and he moved it all the way up here. Kitiara, would you like to know why he did that? I know you do. It's because it's attacking this knight, and also there is a queen over here. Can you see? So if these two pieces magically disappeared, and you know he was the magician, the bishop could come in all the way and capture the queen. And Mikhail Tal was already thinking of maybe taking this knight and putting it here. He can't do it right now because it's black to move. But then he would have two pieces attacking here. That is why, with the black pieces, Peter played this pawn out, like so, to defend against this. So if the knight comes, no problem, we just capture it. But there is a little bit of a problem maybe with this move here. And the problem is that now there is one less piece between the bishop and the queen. There's only the knight now. If we can chase the knight away, then we can come in and capture the queen. It's actually called a pin. In chess, we would say that the bishop pins the knight to the queen, because the knight cannot really move because they lose the queen. And that is why Tal would very much like to play this move, but he's not going to. But you can see that would be very smart if he could come in and capture this knight, and it cannot move anywhere, move anywhere because black would lose the queen, so could come in and capture it with this pawn. But I know you're a tactical cat, Kitiara, and you can of course understand that if this pawn comes here, we can just capture it. So it doesn't work. But that helps us understand why Tal played the move that he did. And the move that he did play was this pawn out here. Because now he's thinking about pushing here. If he could do that, it doesn't help to capture now. Because he can capture here now. And now the problem really is that the knight can't move. So that's the plan. That is the plan. And then it could be a big surprise that black did not stop this. Instead, black put this pawn out here. This pawn is thinking about maybe coming here, attacking the knight. The knight doesn't have good squares to go to. We can capture it here. We can capture it here. And also now this bishop can come out when we have moved the pawn. The bishop can come out. And he was very clever actually, the player with the black pieces, Peter, because he had a plan. When Tal did play this move forward, like we talked about, he did capture the pawn, and Tal did recapture. And here we see his plan. He put the queen over here, moving out of the potential attack of the bishop. And then I can see it in your eyes, little Kitiara. You are thinking, why can't Tal just come in and capture the knight and get a whole knight? And he did not do that. Do you want me to tell you why? I know you do. And that is because of this clever move here that black played. Because now, if Tal had played this, black could come in here with the queen. And the queen is attacking the king with a check. And the king will either have to move, or you will have to put something in between, or white will have to capture the queen. You cannot capture the queen, and if you put something in between, no matter how you do it, black can come and capture the bishop. So, yes, if Tal, he would win a knight if he came here, but he would lose the bishop. And he does not want to lose the bishop. No, he wants to use all of his pieces to attack. And that is why he simply picked up his queen and put it here. because that defends the pawn and it defends the square. So if he has one more move, now he can come in. Now he can come in and capture. And now the trick with the queen doesn't work, because it's no longer check. He would actually lose the queen. Okay, so that is what he's doing. But of course it's black to move. And black thought, okay, the knight is no longer pinned to the queen because I moved the queen. So now I can move the knight over here. And nobody can capture my knight. And I'm safe. But, as I was explaining to Dave the dog, maybe you remember, that Tal had 3 things he always did. He has done one of them, which was to get pawn here and here, control the center. He already did that. Then he wanted a safe king. And that's this guy. He wanted that guy to be safe. The third thing was that he wanted to use all his pieces. But now he can make the special move that can help his king be very, very safe. He can castle. Don't worry if you don't know the rules. Don't worry if you don't know how this works. I'll show you how it looks. When white castles in this position, the king goes 1 and 2 squares. Not just 1, 2 squares. You can only do that when you castle. And then the rook goes on the other side of the king. This is called long castle or queenside castle, because it goes to the side of the board where the queen started. It's the only way in chess where you can move 2 pieces at the same time. So now the king is much, much harder to attack. He's safely out to the side. He has built a little castle. He has a wall in front of the castle. He has a knight guarding his castle. And at the side of the castle there is a guard tower also protecting the king. So now when Tal attacks, it's much easier for him because he doesn't have to spend so much time defending his king, because he already did that. And black wants to get some more pieces into play. And he already played this out and this out, so he could make room for the bishop here. So he put the bishop out here on the long diagonal. That's very nice actually, because we talked about controlling the center, these 4 squares here in the middle. This bishop is looking at this one and this one in the middle of the board. So he's challenging the magician for control of the center, saying that I will try to stop you. I will not allow you to control the center. Tal wanted to use, of course, all his pieces. The next piece that he really wanted to use was this bishop. But there is a problem. This bishop cannot move, because here is one of his own pieces and here is one of his own pieces. So he did something very nice and very, very typical of him and his way of playing. Very typical of all the stories we hear about Tal is one word that goes again and again and again. And that word is sacrifice. And that means when you say to your opponent, oh, you can take some of my pieces or some of my pawns, but I have a secret plan where I will still come in and attack you, even though I may lose some of my pieces and some of my pawns. So he sacrifices his pieces and he sacrifices his pawns. And he takes the queen and moves her here. Now the queen is looking at this pawn here, and maybe at some point also at this point here. It's closer to the king because Tal wants to attack. And now this bishop can begin to come out and join the game. Tal always wanted all of his friends to join the party. But the queen was defending this pawn. And now nobody is defending that pawn. So Peter with the black pieces thought, oh, you're just going to give me this pawn. I'm going to come in and capture that pawn. Wow. Now I have 2 pawns. And the world champion only has a 1. That must be very good. But Tal just loved that. He always loved to sacrifice pawns and sacrifice pieces if it meant that he could put all of his own pieces into play faster. And now the bishop can come out. And you can see both the bishops, both knights, and the queen are all in the party. Also this rook that started here in the corner where it wasn't doing anything. It's not just protecting the king, it's also looking at this long file here. Very close actually to this king. So the only piece now that Tal hasn't put into play is this rook. That's the only thing. And if we look at black's pieces, 1, 2, 3 in play, but the king is not safe. The king has not built a castle. This rook is not doing anything. This bishop is not really in the game. It hasn't moved. This knight hasn't moved, and this rook hasn't moved. And here, maybe black should have thought about getting some of these pieces in play. Maybe put out this bishop somewhere. Maybe here. So you can castle the king. But it also looks a little dangerous to castle the king, of course, because the queen here is already looking, if you castle this way, already looking to attack. But maybe that was the best idea. But black didn't do that. Black moved this knight again. He thought he had a great idea. He thought he would go back with the knight here, where it would be attacking the queen. But this allowed Tal to capture the knight. And I will explain to you. Don't worry, I will explain it. Capture the knight. And even though it was, of course, recaptured by the queen, it allowed him to put the last piece into the game very quickly. So he could now put the rook here. And that is what he did. So you can see this rook is looking all these squares here. And this rook is looking at the king. And the bishop is out, and the knights are out, and the queen is out. So this is just what Tal loved. This is how he played chess. Now he has got the safe king. He has controlled the center in the start of the game, and he's still controlling the center, but now he's using pieces to do it. And he has gotten all of his friends in the party. So now it's time to attack. And black was a little bit afraid of the queen. So he thought, okay, I'll attack the queen with my pawn here. And he was looking to all the other boards. 29 other chessboards Tal was going between. And he was waiting for Tal to come. And he was thinking, okay, when Tal comes, where will he put this queen? Will he put it here? Will he go here? Then I can capture it with the bishop. That would be very nice. He was thinking about how will Tal save the queen. And when he got there, Tal, he started doing his magic. Because he didn't save the queen. Instead, he picked up the knight and captured this pawn. And now I can hear little Kitiara the cat, the tactical cat. You want to know, don't you? Why can't we just capture the queen? And the problem is that now white wins. And black understood that, so black didn't capture the queen. But let's just, for Kitiara's sake, take a look at what would have happened. What would have happened is that this bishop is in the way of this rook, so this rook cannot really see this square. And that will be important, and you will see why, Kitiara, you will see why. So he would pick up the bishop and capture here. And that is check. So you have to do something about it. Okay, you capture. Thinking, what is this all about? Why is Tal giving up all these pieces? He's sacrificing all these pieces. And here comes a little magic trick from the magician from Riga. The knight goes here, and that is check. But it's not only check from the knight. It is also check from the rook. So two pieces are checking. So you cannot capture the knight or the rook, and you cannot put anything in between to stop. For instance, this would just stop the check from the rook, but it wouldn't stop the check from the knight. And the king cannot go to this square or this square, because when the bishop moved, now this rook can see those squares. So this is actually checkmate. So that would be the end of the game. So Peter with the black pieces understood that he couldn't come in and capture. Couldn't come in and capture the queen. Because as soon as this knight moves here or here, it will be check. And we can use this bishop here to take here with check, and then the rook will take away the escape squares for the king. So he was thinking about this, and he thought, okay, I have a solution now. I can put this bishop here, because now when the knight moves, let's say it goes here, it's not check for two pieces. It's only check, not check from the rook here. It's only check for the knight. So I could move the king, and I would still be attacking the queen. Maybe I can win then. So he put the bishop here. But Tal was a magician, and he still did not try to save his queen. It's not necessary. He had all the pieces in the party, and they can do all sorts of tricks. We've seen one of the tricks. One of the tricks is that this bishop can sacrifice itself here. It's check. That is check. But okay, I can just capture that, is what black was thinking. I'll just capture that. And are you ready for something really beautiful? I'll explain to you, little Kitiara, why Tal did this. And that is because he can now take the knight and go here. And that is check. And since the knight can jump over pieces, there's nothing you can put in between. And since there's no pieces that can capture this knight, the king will have to move. And since this bishop is no longer here because it sacrificed itself here, this rook makes it so the king cannot go here or here. So actually, there is only one single move that black can play, and that is to go here with the king. And did I tell you about how in all the stories that I've ever told Dave about the magician from Riga, there's this one word that we see again and again and again, and that word is sacrifice. He offered to sacrifice the queen, he sacrificed the bishop, and now he's going to sacrifice the rook. So Tal took the rook and he put it here, and that is check. And the king cannot go here, here, or here. Cannot go here, just capture with the rook. Cannot go here, just capture with the rook. There's nothing to put in between. So there's only one thing left we can try, and that is to capture the rook. And Peter with the black pieces did just that, capturing the rook. So now we've sacrificed our rook and a bishop, and you can still come and take a queen if you ever have the time. Tal was going between 30 bolts, and playing these moves. And when he came back to Peter here in this position, he took the rook and he put it on this square. And that is checkmate. The king cannot capture the rook because it's defended by the knight. You cannot go here, I can still capture you. You cannot go here, I can capture you. And there's nobody else. There's nobody else in the black army that defends this square here. And you can see a little bit of the secret behind Tal's magic trick here is that yes, he did sacrifice a lot of pieces, but this guy's not doing anything. This guy's not doing anything. This guy's not doing anything. So really, he's not down in pieces. He actually has more pieces doing something than black has. So they shook their hands, and that was the end of the game. But there's a little message at the end here. If you have watched so far, thank you very much. The message is from a third friend that I have. So we have Kitiara, the cat, the tactical cat, and Dave, of course, the story-driven dog. But we also have Bob, hello, the elephant. And why are you here, Bob? Well, I have a message for the grown-ups. And that message is that Mr. ASMR Chess, the guy up there, really loves doing these videos for all of you guys. And he would really appreciate it if you would consider supporting his channel, maybe on Patreon, because that would allow him to keep making these videos, making more and more, better and better videos. And you're always welcome to comment also, because I know that he reads every comment, and it's a great support for the channel, and it helps him out quite a bit. Also, of course, like the video. That's the fastest and easiest way to help out. If you want more of these videos, that's a good way to support. Oh, thank you very much, Bob. Thank you for helping me plug my Patreon there. Now it's time to say goodbye. Goodbye. And also goodbye from Kitiara. Hello, bye-bye. And bye from Dave the dog, and bye from me, ASMR Chess. I hope you had a good time. I hope I will see you sometime soon.